We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig.
I did. Oh, wow. Right on the tip. Just on the tip.
And Blabs. Co-hosted by our friends from around the internet.
There is a portion of Norway where it is legally required to carry a firearm at all times.
If you're just a normal man looking for common sense in this crazy-ass world, you've come to the right place. And now, broadcasting from our homes from around the internet, it's time for Side Scrollers.
Okay, you ready? Open wide!
Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com and SideScrollersPodcast.com. What's going on, everybody? Happy Friday to you. It is finished strong Friday. Here we are. Stuttering Craig. My, oh my, do we have a great show for you guys today, as, of course, the internet, the video game industry has given us just so much. Just so much. Glad you guys are with us today. Blabs is not, as she is recovering. She is, I'm telling you, it is, she's at the apex of the illness today. And she's got to get past that apex, take the weekend. We thought, hey, probably be a good idea for you to just take the day. Stay in bed, take the day, rest, come back strong on Monday, because that's what we're going to do. So Blabs is now joining us, but joining us today, as you saw in the thumbnail, the wonderful Vera Dark. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Man, I'm great. You got a good Friday, ready to bust on into the weekend?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, you got any fun weekend plans?
Live streaming, playing Space Marine 2 right now.
Yeah, that how is it, by the way? You enjoying
It's really great. I've only played a couple hours, but it's super fun.
In comparison to like Gears of War, right?
It's
like
similar.
Very similar,
Yeah.
right? As far as like it has a chainsaw mechanic and the gun and all that, right?
Oh, yeah. It feels very Gears of War and Doom and like kind of this mashup. It's really nostalgic.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're enjoying it, which is great. You play more games than anybody I know,
I've reviewed over, 100 and at this point 70 games on my channel, roughly. So yeah, I live stream them all.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm stoked to have you. As always, we're going to have a great show. I'm going to tell you this right now, everybody. It's going to be the struggle bus today because I'm doing Blabs' job too. I'm going to try to keep up with time codes and all sorts of stuff. So they're probably going to be pretty fucked up if you're watching this after we're live. And I'm going to try to struggle through this. So with that said, if there's any time throughout the show that I just like stop down and I'm like, boop, 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 just kind of roll with it because I'm trying to keep track of times and stuff like that. So
you're doing your best, and that's all we can expect.
That's right. And don't expect a whole lot. Don't expect a whole lot from me when it comes to the best. But
expectations low, just like when you're reading a Kotaku review.
Oof, burn. Nice. Or you just knowing that you're going to get a 7 out of 10 from IGN, which
it's always the 7s. What is with that score? I don't understand.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't get the idea of like the review score. Like if you're going to do a base games or review games based off of a 1 through 10, 7 should not be average. 6 should not be average. 5 is average. Yeah. Maybe that's just me.
Right. A 6 and a 7's above average, and then 8, 9, and 10, you're getting into the good and definitely recommended category. But they give everything a 7.
Yeah, everything. And it's been like, what was it back in the day? There was the IGN, there was a review of a Zelda game, and it was like 7.2 out of 10, too much water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Well, if you were to review Dustborn, what would you give that?
I did play some of it on my channel.
Yeah.
Played 6 hours. I haven't gone back yet. I don't know if I have the strength. I give it a 2 out of 10, and it's only getting a 2 because it was good for the memes and it was hilarious to laugh at it. So,
I do like, we've been keeping track of how the game is done, and obviously nobody. I'm curious. Is anybody playing Dustborn? Yes. One person as of right now, I'm sorry, not Dustborn. One person is actually playing Concord right now. They have loaded up Concord. They've loaded it up. They're just sitting in the lobby or sitting at the title screen or whatever.
That's the director. He's going, this is what I spent my past couple years making, and now I'm out of the game.
Just sitting there staring at the screen. That's the saddest thing in the world.
It's so ridiculous.
Oh man, what a time we live in, huh? It's insane. Dustborn has been like a great game to just laugh at, and there are currently. Let's play this Price is Right game, Vera. How many people are playing Dustborn right now?
I think 18.
Ooh, you, Vera, have gone over. Bum 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 bum.
Darn.
You've gone over by 4x because there's 4 people playing.
I was trying to be generous. I was thinking, it's a Friday. Maybe there's a couple people. I was trying to be generous.
Oh my gosh. Well, there we are. We're off to a great start. I feel like that's something we should probably do every single day on the channel. Is go in and how's Concord doing? How's Dustborn doing? It's good. Well, glad everybody's with us today. I'd like to remind everybody we are live over at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Do us a favor, hit the follow button over there as we continue to grow. We're closing in on 10,000 followers over on Rumble, which is great. We love it because we grow organically over there. You also could have found out that Vera was going to be on the show simply by following us over at Side Scroller Pod. We also have an Instagram account, which Blabs is not here to threaten violence on you today with, but go follow us over there as we're closing in on a little milestone over there. We also have the audio version of the show on Apple Podcast and Spotify, but the place we always want you to go is sidescrollerspodcast.com, where you can watch the Golden Era podcast, which is all about the GoldenEye 007 documentary, which once again, by the way, coming up next week on Wednesday for all supporters over there, where I will be doing a watch along of the Golden Era documentary for all supporters. So head on over there Wednesday at 2 Central, 3 o'clock Eastern, and add a little bit of a carrot for you. Hey, guess what? Use promo code GOLDEN, get $27 off your annual membership. That's in addition, you also get like 3 months with your annual membership. So it's like a double bonus over there. So head over there, become a member over at sidescrollerspodcast.com. But if you are new to us over here on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Join us. Join the, what are we at? 96,000 over 400 normal men. We're closing in on that 100K. It's exciting.
We got to get you there. We have to get the 100K.
I got to be honest. I think it'd be really funny if we just got to 99.999 and then stopped. And then
don't you want your like pocket-sized plaque? It's like the size of a spoon.
Yeah, right. It's like a pocket protector you put in your shirt.
I barely got mine at the cutoff. I got lucky. It was like a week before.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
I know. I'm not trying to make you jealous.
Well, I'm really jealous. I'm really upset right now. But but no, I've grown other channels back in the day.
Oh yeah, of course.
And
but you want one for side scrollers. You want one for your wall.
I want to put it on the wall in the back.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I've had the 100,000, I've had the million, which the million is pretty cool.
That is awesome.
But I think this time just kind of starting over, it'll be pretty rewarding when we get there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of normal men out. There's a lot of normal men out there. We just got to find them, and they got to find us, which is great.
True.
Speaking of normal men, Kyle came in with a $4.99 right off the bat. Says, "Happy Friday, everyone!" With all these Switch 2 news coming out, it got me thinking of a tough question. Will Switch 2 be considered the 9th or 10th generation of consoles? Kyle, haven't thought about it that much. You got any thoughts on that? 9th or 10th gen?
I don't really have any thoughts on it. Primarily because we still do not know exactly what it's going to be. So there's a lot of rumors, a lot of images. Who knows if it's real? But I'm still gonna buy it. So it is what it is.
Sure. Will you be buying a PlayStation 5 Pro?
I will.
Oh,
I will.
Look at you. Going in. She's going deep.
Me. Yep, I already have the you can't really see it, but I already have the drive, unfortunately.
Oh, look at that.
Yep, I already got it.
Nice.
Lucky me. Wasting money on Sony. Such an awful company.
Need to do a side-by-side comparison of those have been phenomenal to watch. The PS5. It's good stuff. Absolutely right. He says all Superstar Day are for Blabs Chicken Soup Fund. All right, send them on in. Let's get Blabs some soup. Absolutely ready, throwing it out there.
She needs some.
Rio came in and says, It's nice to see Vera again. Also, I miss Blabs. Well,
I
we
do
all
too.
She'll be back on Monday, hopefully.
Yeah.
And John says, Jeff Hicks is a ginormous GoldenEye fan. You should invite him.
GoldenEye's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out that'd be fun to watch with a GoldenEye fan for sure. That'll be on Wednesday next week over on sidescrollspodcast.com. All right, Vera, I'm going to put a time code in right now. Here we go. It's time for Today in Gaming History.
Yes.
Always love doing this. We got a stacked day today. Stacked. So here we go. Check it out. Where Blabs put in for September 30th, Star Wars Battlefront in 2004. Also, Gears of War 3 in 2011. And 5 years ago. Are you kidding me?
I know. That's crazy.
That is insane right there. Holy shit. You got any memories of those games?
I do. I've played all of them. I love them. Link's Awakening was really, really cool.
Well, there's some noticeable games. Today was a banger of a day that now that were not included on there, including, are you familiar with Outrun, the old school driving game? Yeah.
Yep.
Outrun 38 years ago, Kirby Superstar 28 years ago for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 for the PlayStation.
Who doesn't love Tony Hawk?
Do you see they're talking about bringing back Tony Hawk for the 25th anniversary?
I think it'd be cool.
Dynasty Warriors 3 for the PlayStation 2. Def Jam Fight for New York. Let's go, man. Shit. Warhammer 40K, Dawn of War for the PC. We Love Katamari. Good Lord. We got a great list today.
Persona is on that list too.
Golly, yeah, we're still going. And you know what's interesting is 11 years ago today, I was releasing my first Steam game with Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. I didn't even realize that until I saw this list. I was like, shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that is awesome.
Pretty neat. Bayonetta 2.
My love.
Oh, my heart. And today, the Karate Kid Street Rumble is releasing on the Switch, PC, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Sorry, PlayStation. You don't get Karate Kid Street Rumble.
No. Bummer. But speaking of Persona, every week I've had a game and I did not disappoint. I have Persona Revelations. I absolutely love it. It's always been up on, well, the shelf used to be over here, but I've always had it behind me on my set. Persona's freaking amazing.
I love this. Robert's like, I hate that AVGN game. Sorry, bud. that was me behind that one. I got a full story I can tell behind that thing. But yeah, it was good times. Well, thank you guys very much. Let's see. Great Con says the ginger is hot, but what happened to go? What happened? Go to Blabs. Blabs is sick. She's getting over being sick. Do you like when people say the ginger?
It doesn't bother me. You guys are offending me. You've got to stop.
That's what we do on this channel.
Yeah.
Marco Reality says, doesn't Vera already have a PlayStation 5? Why would she waste $700 on a new one that doesn't even have a drive in it?
You know, it's my job to play video games and to review video games, and a new console comes out. I'm going to compare them, and I'm going to try out the PS5 Pro enhanced mode on a bunch of games. So, yeah.
Let's go. Love that. Gear says, hello, Vera. I subbed to your channel for long ago. Please don't play Dragon Age the Veilguard and play Blue Archive instead. Thank you.
You know, unfortunately, it is my, job to, very luckily it's my job to play games, but very unfortunately, it's my job to play bad video games. So I will be playing Veilguard. I don't know if I'll play it on release day because it releases on Halloween. And, I kind of want to enjoy my Halloween stream, but we'll see. Maybe. But I will be playing Veilguard.
Well, we got a lot of Veilguard news today, which is good.
Yep, we do.
Shaker over on Rumble says, I'll be in Japan. I'll be Japan bound for the next several hours. Sadly, we'll miss the show all next week. I'll try to get some footage at Tokyo Game Show to share. Hail all of the normal people. Shaker, awesome. Great to see it. Enjoy TGS, man. Just a heads up, the first week of October, we're going to be taking that week off. So we're going to be just as a fall break to kind of recoup and go strong into the fourth quarter. So September 30th through October 4th, we're going to just kind of take that off, so you will not catch us when you get back. But we'll be back the following week, so it'll be our first break in almost 2 years, year and a half. So yeah, but hey, enjoy it, Shaker, for sure. Norm says Craig drops video game, forgets about it, refuses to elaborate. Yeah, I was Angry Video Game Nerd Adventures. I was like the publisher behind that back in the day. Winterfell says, we have no food, no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. Get well soon, Blabs. Craig needs his right hand normal man. It's true. Thank you, Winterfell. Mark of Reality came back, says, is Vera going to play Dustborn? I saw Hypnotic's Dustborn's stream. He won't be doing that again.
I mean, I streamed 6 hours of it. I told chat I do not want to play it. I said, sure, I could be bribed to play it. Otherwise, there's no way you're getting me back playing Dustborn and finishing that game. I don't think I can do it. I play a lot of games. I just don't know if I have it in me.
I'll say this. I think every creator online can be bribed to a certain point.
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. And I've already played a third of it, but it's just so bad.
We're all whores at the end of the day. We all got bills to pay. And so thank you guys for your super chats. Soul Silver says next 3 months is where big games will release because of the holidays. So I expect a lot will be missed from today to December. I agree, Soul Silver. Yes, for sure. We're gearing up for the fourth quarter run where all these companies are throwing out there. So, okay, let's get into it. Vera, it is time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for Hard News. Hard News. All right off the bat, we're going to be starting with the big news in pop culture this week. Vera, have you heard about Puff Daddy?
I have.
Well, after all the insanity that's happened in that, and the whole correlation, they're comparing him to Epstein, which is not somebody that you want to be compared to.
No.
But just like Epstein, apparently Diddy is on suicide watch.
Yep.
So there's that. Is anybody surprised at this point based off everything?
Not really.
No. I think this is one of those things that would anybody be really surprised if Diddy just up and just died out of nowhere? Hey, the prisoners got him. He hung himself.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't think anybody would be shocked.
Yeah, I think there's so much that's connected that people are saying, and I've gone down this rabbit hole over the last few days. There's people who are like, they look like Charlie from It's Always Sunny, like connecting all the dots and stuff, and it's one of those things where like, I think I've been red pilled pretty good over the last few years, and I think for a lot of people, COVID was that turning point for them, but. But that blue pill sure was nice for a long time. I'll tell you what, just being like, oh man, it sure was nice to be ignorant to all the insanity that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Do you, I don't know, was there, I had this conversation the other day. Was there a red pill moment for you, Vera, where you were like, oh shit, that's not right?
Not particularly. I mean, I just kind of saw what was going on in video games and entertainment and just the general sphere of the content that I was consuming on a large basis. And that's when I really started to, pay attention to what was really going on in, of course, the industry and then the broader world.
For me, it was the food pyramid.
Yeah.
It was like, that's not right. The food pyramid's not right. But
yeah.
It's anyways. So if Diddy makes it, I'm not going to say good, but I mean, like, it's just one of those
not
stories
shocking.
like, yeah. But rest in peace, Diddy, in advance.
Fans.
Yes. Let's go to this. Hey, do you see YouTube is rolling out some new features? Vera, have you heard about this?
I didn't get a chance to look into it, but I do know a little bit about it. Yeah.
Well, gentle, normal men out there, if you didn't hear, YouTube has confirmed it's going to be showing ads if you pause any videos. This has been something that has been put out over the course of, I think if you watch things on Prime, you now get ads when you pause it.
Yes.
But this is one of those things. It's going to be all advertisers all the time. There's also some other little features I've seen, including this thing called Hype. I think it is. I think it's called Hype. Is that? Am I right on that?
Yes, I believe that's for the vertical live streaming. It's supposed to compete with like TikTok and like Instagram reel donation systems because it's little pop-ups on the screen, but it's only for vertical streaming.
Yeah. Well, and I don't do that. So
yeah, no.
Right.
Well, maybe you've got to now.
Yeah, I know for sure. We got to readjust our theory with all this stuff. But yeah, this is this article here, thanks to insider-gaming.com, says in theory it shouldn't bother viewers one bit. Let me pop that up over there. As these ads will only appear when they're not actively watching something. In the Verge article, it was rightfully pointed out that this should offer less interruptive experience. So you pause us, get an ad. Congratulations.
Right.
And I guess you get it on the back end. So says in an unsurprising mood, ad revenue is big bucks for streaming and content platforms. Not for us because we don't run ads during our streams, which I think is really dumb of us, but we probably should.
I do not
more
either. Yeah, I don't run ads during my live streams either. I don't want to interrupt the viewing experience.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Which is why we appreciate your super chats. Like Arizona Anime Fan, who came in with their $20 super chat, says the mentally ill who escaped the Tumblr asylum when their perversions were banned are running amok in civil society. We're letting them burn down Rome. Their brand of evil is judging people by immutable characteristics. Man, that's actually pretty hardcore. Anime Fan, thank you, Arizona Anime Fan. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Also, Speedy Cakes came in with the massive 20 Australian monies. It says, well, I haven't seen it, Craig. I saw recently on the Xbox store that UHF is rentable and watched the trailer. So now I recognize the fire hose clip from your intro. Yes. Now this is a deep cut. First off, are you a fan, Vera, of Weird Al Yankovic?
Not a giant fan, but definitely funny.
So back in the late 80s, he had his like one big jump into potential stardom was a movie that he'd made called UHF, and it's like a super classic who was a lot for people who were alive back then. And anyways, that's I all the time. If you've never seen it, it's spectacular. And what's one of those movies that if they ever made a sequel, it would never live up to the original. But it's all sorts of dated in 2020. There's no way you could actually watch it and be like, yeah, I understand the references they have in this movie. So, but one movie that probably shouldn't see a sequel, Sarah, is I'll tell you what, this is about as good a transition as I can give, is The Passion of the Christ 2.
Wow.
You got it. Okay. So did you ever see The Passion of the Christ, the first one?
Yes, I did.
I did too. I thought it was like a cultural thing, right? And I'm not overly religious by any means, but I thought it was like a real interesting movie, and it was like super bloody at the time. You know, you got Jesus walking around with this crown of thorns, and he's bleeding all over the place, and he's cut up, and he's, it was pretty rough. So one could say, Vera, that Passion of the Christ has been resurrected.
Is that going to be the name of the movie?
Let's go. Oh,
I don't know what Hollywood's doing these days. My God.
Yeah. So what do you think happens here? Is this like, I mean, where do they take this story?
I don't know. To be honest, I guess we'll see what happens. I feel like a big part of the first movie, now that we're getting into a second, were the visuals and the kind of cinematography and how a lot of the, scenes and, again, visuals really stuck with you. So, I mean, obviously, I don't think that they need to make a sequel, but I guess if they're going to, I don't know. It feels the same. It looks the same. I don't think they need to make this, though. I mean, that's like 85% of what Hollywood's green lighting these days, though. I mean, I feel like we're getting a multiverse movie at this point.
I love the idea that like we found a way to turn Jesus into a movie franchise.
Yeah, right? Like anything, they will try.
Yeah, it's spectacular. Now it'd be even more awesome if they turned it into some sort of like action flick where Jesus is running around and it's like straight out of the Matrix or something, and they just totally went crazy with it.
Oh
Man,
my gosh.
that'd be awesome. All right, now I'm a little off sync. That's okay. We'll figure it out. It'll catch back up. Okay. Thank you for that, Vera. Okay, next up, man, this is, talk about sequels. We have a sequel that I think a lot of people are interested in, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this is received. But the director of the Kingdom Hearts series says they're currently making Kingdom Hearts 4 with the intention of the story pretty much being done. He says they only has a few years left until he retires, and he wants to finish it up before then. The third one was not received super duper well.
It was not, no.
But the first two are classics. Are you anxious for Kingdom Hearts 4?
No, I personally think that they should just leave it at 3 until maybe they have like a very cohesive story and they've really thought about how they want to end it. But when I hear, they're, working on this game, but also he wants to make sure it's done before he retires, it kind of seems like it's rushed and he's rushing to get it done. So I'm definitely a little bit worried, but 3 was not received very positively, like you mentioned. So I'm definitely not feeling confident in the project.
I think it's great that like if he's been, it's also kind of a weird way to announce it. Like,
Yeah.
hey, like you think there'd be some sort of sweet announce trailer
Oh,
that
yeah.
would really get people stoked for it, but I guess not in this case. Just go, I'm
No.
working on it, by the way. So, all right, cool. Now, one game that came out a year ago, which I know a lot of people really, really loved. Did you play Lies of P?
I did. Lies of P was so good.
If you were to give that a score, what would you give that?
Ooh, well, I live streamed a full playthrough. I believe I gave it like an 8 to an 8.5. Very Bloodborne. Loved the theme. I thought it was really, really fantastic with all the different boss fights and the different mechanics. It was really good, and I am super excited for what they're doing with the game going forward.
Well, the director of the game came out and more or less just put out a love letter to everybody, and this was passed around the last couple days, which I think is great. You love to see this stuff, and just pretty much just saying thank you. It's great. My goal as director is to create an enjoyable game. Is never wavered. Your feedback and encouragement has been and will always be a constant source of inspiration for me for the DLC of the Lies of P and the sequel, which, by the way, he says, hey, we're doing it. We aim to do better from what we did well and improve in areas we have room to grow. It might sound simple, but I find that sticking to the basics is anything but easy. Thankfully, I have amazing colleagues that I can place my full trust. Team Noof and Round 8 Studio. They have always been by my side through thick and thin, and we will continue to step forward. It's really cool to kind of see this stuff, and this is what I think not just gamers but consumers appreciate is a little bit of gratitude for going out and buying your game and consuming your product. I mean, it's
100%.
awesome.
Yeah.
As a fan of the game, what did you think when you saw this?
I mean, I thought that it was a really great, wholesome statement, and we've known that they were going to do a DLC. We didn't know if they were going to just do the DLC, like one, or if they were going to do more, what they were going to do about a sequel, but it was a very good game that I think people generally enjoyed, and it really scratched that Bloodborne itch. So I think that, they have a lot going for them, and I hope that they continue this franchise, and, the DLC comes out and it's really great, and they do sequels. Honestly, I want to see a lot of games in the Lies of P series. I don't know if we'll get them, but I'd love it.
Well, it sounds like if the consumer is loud enough, they will listen, which is
Yes.
great. So, speaking of the consumer making their voice heard. Hey, there was a game that came out not too long ago called Concord. And some may say this game is the biggest failure in the history of video games. I am one of them. Now, there is a rumor that is being passed around thanks to That Park Place, which we're going to go to. Vera, the rumor is that the Concord game director is stepping down after the game's horrible failure. Who'd have thought, Vera?
I mean, I think everybody.
Right. I think this is one of those things where he may step down, but at the end of the day, he still made his money. You got to remember, they sold their studio. This guy's rich beyond belief. So while he's going away with his tail between his legs, he still has a suitcase full of money to keep him warm along the way. But this is all just a rumor right now. It says Ellis announced that the game would shutter in a blog post a couple days ago. He then declared, therefore, that we've decided to take the game offline. They did, and that was obviously laughed at quite extensively. But the new rumor, according to Kotaku, which you can always take that as a grain of salt,
Right.
That the game director said that told staff at Firework last week he would be stepping down from his game director role and move into a support role instead, according to 3 sources familiar with the change. I think 3 sources is pretty good. I'm content with 3 sources telling me something. If it's 1, okay. 2 is pretty good. 3, I'm okay with. Do you think this guy, this is a legit question, can he find work after this? Does it, when you have a failure like that?
I mean, I do think it's going to be difficult for him, but at the end of the day, I think that he does, looking at the direction of the game itself. I mean, I haven't seen any social media posts of his, but one would assume he does fit into the category of activists that are, dominating the industry right now. So I do think that he's probably going to find work. I think it'll be a little bit hard. I don't think that he's going to be able to be like the game director, but I think that he could be a developer. And in this whole story, I mean, I do generally believe it, but there's 2 very different directions here, because it's either that they're cleaning house and they are going to be hiring new people who will align with the rumors that they want to relaunch it as a free-to-play game, and that those people will align with their new predatory live service direction, or that means that they're just completely done with Concord and that they are going to be shelving it. We'll have to see if a bunch of other people get let go or if they announce any more hirings, but it could go either direction. Neither would shock me, but it definitely still isn't good for Sony or Concord.
Well, you mentioned about the idea of it going free to play. According to this article, they are fairly pessimistic about Concord returning right here. Yeah. So this is the same 3 people who came in, says, and at least one of them allegedly informed him that this is probably the most damning statement of them all. They have been asked to explore pitches for something completely different than Concord. It's like, that game you just made that failed horribly? Yeah, just do the complete opposite of what you just pitched us. What?
Well, I don't know if these people are capable of that, though. See, that's the problem, is that if a Sony tells them to go in a complete opposite direction, they're going to have issues with the people that they've hired over the years, because they're individuals who only want to make content that aligns with their political beliefs, and they only want to create content that they feel confident in. And I have to say this all the time, when I'm making videos and live streaming, but while I want developers to be passionate about what they're creating, I also need them to understand that they are not making games for themselves. They are making games for other people. And therefore, yeah, sure, they have to say that they like a character design or they like the story, but they also need to make it for somebody, and that's a major disconnect within the industry right now. They're not doing that. They're just making games for themselves and for the echo chamber that they exist in.
What do you think needs to happen there, Bear? Do you think is the industry been too corrupted at this point? I mean, when you look at where these studios, a lot of these main studios are based, it's very, left coast. You're in major hubs like LA, San Francisco, right? and they surround themselves in this echo chamber. Is the echo chamber too much for them to realize that for them to understand the disconnect that they clearly have between them and the consumer?
Well, I think the kind of answer to it all stems in other regions, because we're seeing a massive uptick in, of course, Japanese games, Korean games. Korean devs are doing fantastic right now. They've talked about how they have so much more interest because people are moving away from Western video games. And I think it lies in these Western companies listening to consumers saying, I'm leaving, I'm not buying Western created games anymore, and I'm going to Korean devs. I'm looking at Japanese devs. And unfortunately, with Japanese devs, they are heavily focused on chasing the ESG dollars at this point, like Square Enix, for example. But I think that it comes down to the Western companies looking at these other regions and what they're doing. Over the years, we've gone to Japanese devs a lot, and unfortunately, they're kind of corrupted at this point. But I do think that the companies need to look at these other regions, and then they need to look at the employees that are being hired at these other companies and how they are creating games. I think that we would need like 50% of the activists at these companies fired and washed. And I always say this, I don't revel in people losing their jobs, but at the end of the day, when you're doing a bad job or you're not doing your job properly, you don't deserve to have that job.
I think a lot of this starts and stops with one simple word: no.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think of it? Hey, I got this idea. I want to make this character super fat, and I want him to have jeans over his fupa, whatever. No, that's a horrible idea, right? And I feel like so much leadership in this company, in these companies, are afraid to say no for whatever fear, being called an ist, a phobe, whatever, or HR getting on them, or whatever it means. There's so many barriers that restrict for somebody from saying no, and no's not a bad thing. It's okay to say no. I'm a big believer that no idea is a bad idea, but there are ideas that should be rejected, and I feel like so many poor ideas that don't connect with the core audience are being greenlit, and they're being pushed, and they're being pushed by, obviously, you say the activist side of things, these people whose ideology that don't line up with 99% of the world's population. It's almost a social contagion, and the leadership there is so fucking scared of these people. They've scared them into and they're just giant pussies, I guess is the best way to say it. I wish there was a easier way to say that, but they're just giant pussies. So when you look at these people in these leadership positions, and they're so scared for their jobs, right? I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get any harassment claims on me because you say no to a bad idea. Well, you say no, then you justify why. It's not a matter of just saying no. You have to say no and say, no, this is why it happens. And I see this so often when it comes to this, and that's what I feel like this show is. This show is a giant no to the video game industry. No. And the normal men who watch our shows and watch Vera and watch G&G and go down the list, right? We are the alternative. We are the opposite of what is happening in the video game industry, which is why people watch us. And just like you see in the Star Wars fandom and all this, it's amazing to see the disconnect. And I've said this many, 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 many times. And the chat has pointed out, you can call them cowards. Yeah, they're fucking cowards.
They are. Yep.
It's amazing to see. And honestly, I'd say they get what they deserve, but this guy's he's going to be rich. This guy's super wealthy. He's the head of a studio that got acquired by Sony. I guarantee he's got his bag.
Oh yeah, totally. And if you even look at all of these larger companies, it comes down to with the message, it comes down to them being afraid of losing that ESG money. So what they're doing right now is they are kind of scrambling. So looking at just video games, because we could totally get into like movies and Hollywood, but sticking to video games, they are releasing remasters and remakes and reboots because they want to try to capture that audience who's very nostalgic for content, but they're greenlighting new projects that push the message. So they're trying to play both sides of, nostalgia, but also creating new content. And that is creating a very massive problem within the industry because people are getting sick and tired of all of the remakes and reboots. But then they're releasing games like Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, and Concord and Dustborn, titles that nobody wants. And that's the problem with the activists that they've hired, is they can't write good anything, movies, TV shows, video games. They're just not talented. And so you have this problem where, these companies are not saying no because they're afraid of losing that ESG money. So, they're trying to play both sides by releasing remasters and remakes, but then also greenlighting content that pushes the message. And then you have issues with remakes like censorship, where they're taking jokes out, they're toning down character models and gore and violence, and it's so pathetic. The state of the industry is fucking pathetic.
It's so sad. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. It's so sad. And you see games that are just fun. Those are the ones that are being rewarded right now. And and the ones that are pushing the message, they're the ones that are seeing the blowback, and which will tie into actually the next story that we have coming up. But first, I want to let you know that Bentley guy over on Rumble came in with a $50 Rumble rant. Let's go. Thank you so much, Bentley guy. Says, hey, Craig, it's my birthday in 10 days. For my 36th birthday, I told my wife I wanted all I wanted on my name. All I wanted was my name on the wall of a stuttering YouTuber. She also said you could get hooked on phonics. Hey, thank you very much. I know I'm not a good reader. Easy. There you go. Thank you so much, Shane. Appreciate you, buddy. And we will not be live for your birthday, but happy birthday to you in 10 days. So
happy birthday.
Yes. Thank you very much. And you are on the wall, my friend. There you go. David came in and says, laid off Firewalk dev should be paid in physical copies of Concord since they're so proud of it.
Yeah, why not?
You can go on eBay right now, and they're not going for much. The value has dropped down in the last few days. So I feel like I need to part with my Concord copies sooner than later.
Yeah, I have a copy. It's I'm keeping it.
Yeah, you're gonna hold on to it?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it.
Good for you. Nathan came in with the $9.99. Says, as a Catholic, there's a story after the crucifixion where Jesus was walking around with his followers confirming his doctrine before ascending to heaven. Don't think that's what they're gonna do. All right, well, we'll see, Nathan. Or maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see. I guess I don't know if I'll see Passion of the Christ 2.
2, the sequel.
That's right. Part 2. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Time code setup. Okay. This was fun to see over the last few days as Dragon Age, the Veilguard is coming out, Vera. Now, listen, Dragon Age has always been known for its character creation. And this was passed around from Learning the Law over on X. Saw this video. Says Dragon Age, the Veilguard, customer customization has been revealed. You can call yourself a Lamborghini and choose they, them, non-binary pronouns. But that's not all. Players can now customize female character's chest and add top surgery scars. Let's go and play this really quick. Let's just see how I don't know who this they them is, but let's see how proud they are. They're very proud of this.
He, him, she, her, and they, them, and then your gender is man, woman, non-binary. Love that. Love the inclusivity. Top surgery scars are also included in this for all of our trans and non-binary rooks out there. I absolutely was blown away by this. It's beautiful to see the inclusion in the game and to see yourself represented.
Wow.
So, Vera, we have reached a point to where we have top surgery scars in a game that's supposed to take place when?
I mean, in a fantasy world, so I don't know the exact time, but I mean, is this really what people want? Not really.
I think this is man, this is crazy to see. This is one of those things where now, correct me if I'm wrong there, but the Dragon Age, the series itself, is there any sort of magic in Dragon Age at all?
There is, yeah. And, you know, they basically are just pushing aside the fantasy elements at this point to include things like this. I mean, it's sort of like the, you know, the conversation about disabled characters in fantasy. If you have magic and you can fix broken bones and you can do this crazy stuff, then why do you need a wheelchair? Why don't you just use magic to fix your legs? Why would you have these scars if, you know, you have this magic that can heal all wounds? I mean, it's basically just mental illness, the character creator. That's all this boils down to.
Right. It's right there in front of you. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would they put this in the game? I don't quite understand why. What's going on with this? Well, I'm glad you asked, because the creator, the game director, the director of Dragon Age Veilguard is one of them's name, I guess, is Corrine Bush. Corrine, I guess.
I think it's Corinne.
Okay, Corinne it is. Sounds good. Look, I could honestly care less. But so Corinne Bush over here. A little bit about Corinne Bush here. As you can see here on the bottom, the Dragon Age franchise has a very special place in Corinne Bush's heart. Oh, sneeze.
Sneeze.
Excuse me. Oh man, that came
I wasn't
out
able
of
to time
nowhere.
Yeah.
Oh my God, sorry. In part, she says, that's because the games are all about possibility. In Dragon Age, you can be who you want to be, explore the possibilities of consequences of your choices, and build relationships that leave lasting impression, she says. Few games give players that kind of autonomy while also weaving such a rich narrative. I think it really speaks to why our players feel so invested in this world. And the idea, and this is the most important part here, and the idea of being who you want to be carries a particular special meaning for, is it, what'd you say? Corinne? What is it?
Corinne.
Corinne, okay.
I think.
As a queer trans woman, I have a perspective on the games that not everyone has. I would say you have a perspective on the game that most people don't have there, Corinne. Yeah. Dragon Age has long been a place where LGBTQIA plus folks can see people like themselves represented respectfully. It's inherently very queer, and it's such a rare thing for marginalized communities to have representation where we feel proud and powerful in how we are depicted. It's so deeply meaningful to so many. I often get emotional when I think about what it would have meant for a younger version of myself to see someone like her in a game. And as a hero, no less, I hope we can be a safe place for our queer players to know they are not alone, that they are brilliant and worthy, and they are not only welcome, but celebrated.
Oh, this gives me a headache. I mean, it's basically just blah, blah, blah. How can we include gender politics? It's representation for the 0.1%. My goodness, these people, they really are insane.
Well, this person has gone into protected mode over on X because, hey, but Corinne is so proud that they went protected over on X. And this is amazing because I don't know if have you seen Corin before Corin became a woman?
I have not. No.
Would you like to see Corin before Corin became a woman?
Oh my.
Just okay. Let me find it. I need to find it. It's very important that I find it because it's a lot. It's over on that Park Place. Where is it? Damn it! I'm gonna tell you this right now. Corin didn't look very happy as a man. I'm gonna tell you this right now. It looked like an upset man who really was looking to find they themselves before. Let me see if I can find this really quick because this was a lot. I think it'll be quite shocking, to be honest with you. Let me see if I can find this because I had it pulled up and then I didn't.
That's okay. I'll rant for a minute.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
I got it. Here we go. This is in 2020, which we all know what happened in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
They're surrounded by the internet at all times. They are depression rates fly through the roof along the way. And here is 2020, 2021.
I mean, on the right side, it's just a fake smile. So are they really happy at this point?
I don't know. They seem super happy along the way. Clearly in their new body or new hair, not even a new haircut, really.
Not really.
You know what happened? They got new glasses and they shaved. That's what happened.
I mean, practically, yeah.
Oh my God. What are we doing?
This whole situation, is just, it's ridiculous because I know that there's other videos online about, the character creator. And at the end of the day, I will always be for players. My stance will always be giving people tons of options, but look at the options that they're giving, right? I think having pronouns is dumb. Just have a male or a female option and customization options so you can make your character look however you want. But I also can't help but point and laugh at the media who's highlighting this going, oh my God, it's so stunning and brave. But if they're gonna give players more options, judging by what we've seen, again, it's not like we played the game ourselves to be able to judge, but from what they've highlighted, I think the height options are disappointing, at least in the previews. Doesn't seem like it really even changes when you max out the slider. Same goes with things like waist width, chest size, and butt size. If you're going to preach about giving players options and you're gonna go out of your way to add options like top scars, I should be able to make my character have the proportions of Bayonetta or Eve from Stellar Blade or original Lara Croft. Sorry, if you're gonna preach about that, I want my character to look the way I want. But no, it's because they only want to highlight these certain body proportions, these certain body modifications that have been made to appeal to, again, the 0.1%.
Now, what's her name?
Corinne.
Corinne, sorry. I'm not good with names. Corinne. Okay, so Corinne has started to make the rounds and doing some interviews along the way. And I think it's important. Now, while Corinne has locked her X account, Corinne has not locked their Threads account, which, that was where all the people who were really mad at Elon Musk went off and created Threads, and now you have it. So when you go to Corinne's Thread account, doesn't post very often, but 23 hours ago, Corinne posted an interview with Mr. Matty Plays. Now, if you're asking yourself about who is the Access Media, we've talked about this many, many times. The Access Media is not just IGN. The Access Media is not just Kotaku. The Access Media they are YouTubers, 100%. There are YouTubers, including Mr. Matty Plays, who is a member of the Access Media, because Mr. Matty Plays would not have access to play Dragon Age the Veilguard and have access to this interview along the way.
Right.
So there you go. This is your Access Media right here. This is the face of your Access Media. here we let's just take a listen to see how this interview goes and to see how Corinne responds to the questions.
That there is no planned DLC or expansions for Dragon Age Veilguard. Take a listen as to why. Is there a plan for DLC or expansion type content for Veilguard at all?
Yeah, it's a question we get a lot. And I understand why. I'm a huge fan of Trespasser as well. In fact, if I were to give any critique, it would only be that Trespasser is so central to the Dragon Age Inquisition story that arguably maybe that should have been part of the base game.
Yeah.
Now,
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Corinne couldn't find a job as a man, so he became a woman to attempt to be a part of the gaming industry. I mean, Corinne is clearly a grifter. They, again, became a woman just to get a job because they couldn't get a job in the industry as a straight man. So, I'm not very shocked at the voice.
The conspiracy. Wow. Okay. All right. Now, I that's interesting.
I mean, it's basically
so
someone just LARPing.
Right. Okay. All right. Razor came in over on X with this as Mass Effect Pandoromata Anthem. Three multi-million-dollar failures, 3 strikes, and you're out. BioWare. Sad to see you go, but in all the ways that matter, you've been gone since Dragon Age 2. Now, I was talking about the top surgery stars. This is from Grums. Now, this person asks, it says, I'm so confused. There are customization options that you're not forced to use. You have zero that have zero bearing on the story, and you can easily ignore. And that's the issue. I don't get it. And Razor responds, says, it's a socio-political propaganda included to normalize surgical mutilation. He says, if there was an optional MAGA hat in the character creation that didn't affect the story, you'd boycott. Don't pretend otherwise. I don't think he's wrong in this situation.
I agree. I don't think he's wrong either.
I mean, they've always had a really big character. Their character customization has been very big over the years, and really, like when it comes down to it, character customization is a very, and I'm going to say this, and some people are going to get upset, but it's a very narcissistic thing, especially if you are building a character that's meant to look like you. Maybe I'm just off on this and I probably am, to be fair, because I feel like most of the time when you play a video game, and at least when I play a video game, I create a character that looks nothing like me. That I want to be better than me. I want to be awesome. I want to be so much cooler than me. Oftentimes I do like playing as the exact opposite of what I am, which is, not awesome.
I mean,
which is awesome.
I'm going to disagree because I think having a character creator and allowing people to play as, even if it looks like themselves, is fine. My issue is at the development level when a developer basically copy and pastes themselves into the game and they self-insert. That's my issue. I don't care what players do if they want to make a character that looks like themselves. So a little bit of a difference in opinion, but ultimately, people can do what they want.
Sure. I think for me, when it comes to a game like this, though, you can spend all your time doing and adding customization to it. But how often do you, like, you're talking about the top scars, or you're spending all this little detail on somebody's face? Okay, fine, right. But the reality is, in a game like this, the vast majority of the time, from a gameplay perspective, you're staring at their ass, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the camera's usually from behind them. So I guess for me, that's why I've always been like, character customization always just been like a thing. It's never really been that important to me. But that's just me.
Well, it's like in a lot of games, you end up wearing a helmet or you're wearing a hood and you don't even see your character's face most of the time. That's why we need bigger booties in character creators. We need it. But the developers aren't giving that to us.
Hashtag bring back the butts.
Yes.
Let's get that trending somewhere. That's good. Now we had this one last post from G Prime over on X. He's a political cartoonist and had this to show as a person with the horns, person with the chest scars. all this. At least a character editor that represents me, right, along the way. So I thought that was kind of a fun way to finish up here. So, you got anything to close on that?
Not really. I mean, ultimately, they are clearly just hacks, and they don't actually care about making a fantasy video game. They simply want to insert their gender politics, and they're doing that through the character creator. And yeah, it's just mental illness, the character creator.
Mental illness, the character creator. That will probably be the title of this video. Sliced up. Write that down. Mental illness, the character creator.
Yeah.
Love it. So I do have a little bit of information about the pre-sales of this game. I posted this just a little bit ago over on X. I have my retailer insider, and they said Dragon Age the Veilguard has just over 1,000 pre-orders, and they're 900 plus stores. So just over one per store. To put that in perspective, Zelda, the new Zelda coming out, has over 4,400 in the last 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
obviously he's crushing it, and it's obviously a legacy franchise. Well, I guess both are legacy franchises at this point. So, but just to kind of see the difference between the two and the excitement level between the two is it's right there.
Oh yeah,
So,
and I of course love to see Zelda winning. Always
Yep.
happy to, support good games, and hopefully, the Echoes of Wisdom comes out and it's fantastic. But I think it's kind of hard to disappoint people with Zelda.
I agree. Unless it's the Wand of Gamelon for the CDI. Wouldn't. Hey, check this out. The Imaginee came in and says, when I make a character, I make a hot chick because they're hot and I'm toxic. Good for you.
True.
Soul Silver came in and says, can we remove body types and bring gender back? Or maybe just sex?
Yeah.
Throwing it out there. Kyle came in and says, I'm by no means trying to be a racist, but this is why I never date a white woman today, because I can't tell anymore. Good luck, Kyle. Ian came in with 10 gifted memberships. Let's go, Ian. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate that. If you guys got gifted a membership, make sure you say thank you. Consider paying it forward right there. Nathan came in with a $9.99. Says, as a follow-up, when Jesus appeared to his followers, one of them refused to believe he rose again. So Jesus showed him his open wounds and invited him to poke them, which he did. The Bible goes hard. Thanks, Nathan. William came in and says, top scars only cater to the women who pretend to be men. What about the opposite? Where are the large chest with scars? Why can't I add huge junk so I can relate? There you go, William. We need a giant junk slider,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Dev came in and says, games in the 90s had the occasional trans or G character. What's a G characters? G? Okay.
I don't know.
Nobody complained because it wasn't for inclusion. It was just a story. Just make fun games. Preach, Dev, preach. Vernon says, if them don't want curves, then nobody can have curves. That's right. If they don't have curves, nobody can have them. Javi came in and says, in a world of magic, they couldn't figure out a spell to change their gender instead of cutting themselves up in Dragon Age. What the heck? That's right, Javi. It says the hypocrisy from the feminist to add top surgery scar before C-section scar. There are much more mothers than trans, and it represents birth. Thank you. Appreciate that. Nikki came in as a member. Says, I played all 3 Dragon Age games. I don't know on where they get it's for gays when it's a token style fantasy. They pretty much destroyed the franchise.
Yeah,
Well,
they did.
That is your director of the game. Just want to point that out. So,
Yep.
What's her name?
Corinne.
Corinne Bush. The irony, not buying it. Thanks, Ruddy. Appreciate that. Mr. Melancholy says, guess BioWare is next in the graveyard of studios. Man, we'll see. It says, by the way, it's D'Imagine I. Thank you. Appreciate that. Video Man says, when you see the game, you have to ask, who are they making this for? Why have this if magic can fix almost anything? That's right. I doesn't
Yeah.
quite. You guys nailed it right here. One time at Bandcamp says, "Drag Queen Age rides the short bus." There we go. Soul Silver. We need to hold a funeral to Dragon Age franchise. That's right.
We
Thank
really do. It's just so sad to see this happening time and time and time again. It's just, I'm not shocked by it, but I'm extremely disappointed because people were so excited for Dragon Age to get a new game. Just like, what's happened with a lot of games now. And unfortunately, then we end up in situations like this where the fan base is divided. It's not changes or additions that people generally agree with.
No, like I said, you're literally pandering to a small percentage. Now that small percentage just happens to be running this game. Like, why do you think it's inserted? Well, there you go. Right? Do you think like that's the director of the game? Let's just say, and that director of the game is having conversations with, with this, I don't know, a studio head or whatever, the studio head or someone above them, right? What would happen if that studio head just said no, we're not going to do that. You're alienating a large part of your audience, right? And you're making them feel uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think would happen? Would Corinne have stepped away? Would they have stepped down? Would they have moved on from their job? Would they have stepped away from gaming for being too toxic? It's okay to say no.
Yeah. I completely agree. I think these people would not stay in the video game industry because they've only joined the video game industry to try to make a quick buck. And sure, maybe a lot of them played games when they were younger, but they just went, how can I make money? And then they saw, movements like Gamergate, and then they saw this side of the Anita Sarkeesians and the Zoe Quinns trying to make money, and, they're actual grifters. And these individuals, these activists decided, wow, there's this big situation going on. Let me try to join the games industry because there's a lot of money there. I mean, look at how much money the video game industry makes every year. It's absolutely insane. But then we see, years later, it's been a decade since Gamergate 1. We're in the middle of Gamergate 2, and these same issues are happening with ethics and journalism and video games being taken and twisted. And there's all of these, unfortunate narratives that are being shoved into content. Unfortunately, when we talk about, Dragon Age, RPGs are getting hit the worst right now. It came from tabletop and it started with Dungeons and Dragons because of Wizards of the Coast, and it has exploded, especially over the past couple of years with things like gender politics.
You know what's interesting about this, the idea of like the diversity, we want these games to be for everybody, right? The reality is that will never happen, ever. Because while you can include tattoos and paints and scars, who's not in here? I don't know, somebody who's blind. Maybe there's not a wheelchair character. Maybe there's no amputee. You will always leave somebody out. So when you say diversity, what you really mean is diversity for this specific group of people.
Yeah, and I talk about that a lot when video games get censored. They say, oh, we just want this woman's chest covered up a little more, some of the cleavage, and then it's, oh, we need to lower her skirt a little bit more so, less of her legs are showing. And it's a slippery slope. If you try to appeal to everyone, you're really appealing to no one. And that is what we are seeing, tenfold in the industry right now. Oh yeah, well, you might have top scars and then you might have pronoun options, but what about the blind people? What about the amputees? It's just a slippery slope because these people are never going to be happy. You might change 5 things for them, but then they're going to find 10 other things to complain about.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. Great contest. Since they got top scars, can we also get breast implant scars? I want some bimbo plastic, Jessica Rabbit size bolt-ons and jiggly physics, damn it.
Hey, I completely agree. If you're going to give people these options, where's the butt slider? Where's the breast slider? Where's the tiny Lara Croft Bayonetta waist? I want my favorite characters to be represented in these video games. I want to be able to create a Bayonetta because there are real women that look like that. So why are you, leaving out a group of women who look this way? That's not fair. That's not very inclusive. See, it's a slippery slope.
It's the slipperiest of slopes. There will always be someone left out. There will always be someone to complain. There will always be someone to be upset for sure. And hey, let's add them booby scars. Why not? Let's add them breast implant scars. You're gonna say what? They weren't around when Dragon Age, the timeline happened? What? Okay. All right.
Right. This is why companies need to just listen to what the majority of players want instead of the minority, but they've got it backwards. They're listening to the minority, which it's not paying off for them. Look at all these games that have failed, and even the ones that are going to be coming out in the next couple of years that are also most likely going to fail. But, with the big titty women, it just boils down to it doesn't fit their body positivity agenda. So they give us characters like Lizzo's, and the real women who look beautiful get left out.
Man, that's awesome. Listen to this. It's also awesome. Zoltan with 500 Qatari Rial. That's spectacular. I don't even know what that means, but I think that's a lot.
Special. It's red. It's special. That's all we need to know.
We're red. Let's go. It could be a shit ton of money. It could be like nothing, but it's red. Let's go.
Woo!
All right. Thank you very much. It says, when creating a new character, I go for one that fits the game/story settings, male or female. I want to feel like I am this hero adventurer ready for deep dive into a world and enjoy it for the story, the combat, the world. I don't want to see what Veilguard is doing. Period. Hey.
Also, it's about $137.
Hey, speaking of jiggle physics, let's go. How about a little of that? Oh, hold on, let me get this out of the way.
You're censoring it. What are you doing?
Oh no, look at that. There we go. Wow, Zoltan, thank you very much. Appreciate that greatly. Whoa, holy shit. Wow. And J Mac. I gotta, what is happening? J Mac with you guys really love breasts. J Mac came in with a $200 super chat. It says, makes me think how silly the arachnophobia mode was in WoW. How many other phobias are there and why aren't they represented? Thalassophobia is one of the most common fears, yet there's no mode to remove underwater content from WoW. There's nothing that is for everyone, and that's okay. Wow.
100%.
Hey, we get the 150, get the close up. There we go. Let's go, J Mac. Wow, that's ridiculous. Thanks to that lady for that. Wow, you guys are spectacular and finishing strong on a Friday. Genuinely appreciate that. I'm going to get you guys both up on the wall in a little bit. Holy crap. You guys are very passionate about this. Lots of super chats about this. So thank you very much. Sir Cool says, the previous Dragon Age had a plot line of them using magic to make a gay guy not be. Another character was trained, did use magic. No scars needed. Thanks, Sir Cool. Appreciate that. Radio came in and says, hey, Craig, but this is for Vera. Thanks, Radio.
Thank you.
Benadryl Cabbage Patch, because
name.
Show me a game from the last 10 years aimed at the LGBTQ plus crowd that made money and didn't fail. Show me this, and I will get Dragon Age. Stop the insanity. Thank you, Benadryl. Cumber Patch. Rebound says, takes a real gamer to hate games that embrace modernity. Thank you, Rebound. Scarfy says, love the makeover, Blabs. You even sound smarter than usual.
Aw, don't make fun of Blabs. She's sick.
Yeah, Blabs
you have to be
sick.
extra nice.
That's right. Man. Cultural Breakdown says trans people get upset with BioWare on Mass Effect Andromeda because the representation was tokenized. Let's see if this works or history repeats.
Yeah, BioWare does not have the best track record over the past couple of years, that's for sure. And, making a character creator for identity politics, I don't think is going to play out very well for them.
Hippie Dingbat came in, says the only game in the series was the only fun game in the series was Origins. 2 tried to act like Mass Effect. than a dark fantasy Baldur's game. Thank you, Happy Dingback. I like your avatar there. It's pretty fun. Good stuff. And Benjamin came and says, hey, Craig, would it be possible to get both Razor and Newer on for when Dragon Age Veilguard eventually launches? The amount of issues this game has is too much for many donos. Thank you, Benjamin. Appreciate that. Maybe, yeah. Hey, do me a favor. Send me that over on X. That's the best play. I'm not familiar with that Twitch streamer. So, all right. Let's go ahead and finish up and move on to a final story here. And have you followed this stuff that's been going on with Star Wars Theory over on X? Him and Peter Tassi.
Paul Tassi. Yep, Paul freaking Tassi. Man, he is the last video game journo I would ever believe in the history of video game journos.
So you don't have that high of a thought process.
He is one of the worst, in my opinion. One of the worst.
Well, he's in a spat with Star Wars Theory right now.
Yes.
And have you followed this at all?
I've seen a little bit, but I do not know the whole context.
Well, this started with an article that Paul put up over on Forbes.com. And in it features prominently Star Wars Theory. Now, I don't know Theory. Personally, we've been on a show or two together. But he writes this article, and he kind of takes a shot at Star Wars Theory. He says he uses in incognito mode for porn. I use it to check on channels that make videos about me that I don't want in my algorithm. And Star Wars Theory says, get your bag, bro. Glad you're able to pay your rent. See you in the next one, right? And so this leads to what you think is like kind of a back and forth. This is a squabble between a journalist and a creator, which we've seen many of those in the past year or so. It's a commonplace where the journalists who probably can't survive on their own without some sort of company paying them. I very much doubt Paul could make a living on YouTube. I know he does have a YouTube channel, but I doubt he could make a living making it by itself. Anyways, they went kind of back and forth, and Paul came back and was talking about, and he ratioed Theory pretty hard. Admittedly, he says, you made a monetized video with 300,000 views reading my article out loud with no link. How is this not making you money? Right. And I'm sure like once again, Theory could have done that. Theory's rich, y'all. Like he's admittedly, he's very well off, and he's done well because of his channel. Right. Yeah. But he went out, and this ultimately led to a back and forth between them. And Paul's like, hey, man, I'm getting harassed over here. And he said, I was just in the police station filing a report about a guy texting me threats, citing your last video directly. I would not continue down this road. And this is in response to Star Wars Theory said, bro wants your money. I don't have to link garbage writers. Do you link to my videos when you spread lies? That last video was the intro to you. The next one is about your articles on Forbes, agreeing with deplatforming of me and others and spreading full of lies. You're a trash, quote unquote, journalist, and you will be exposed. You couldn't just leave me alone. You had to write a full-on article in Forbes about me being the most toxic YouTuber. You can't even lie, and I catch you on it. All we'll see. Journalists like you are the problem today. Now I'll respond. This is just the start of me responding to all you for the abuse you've thrown at me for 8 long years of my silence. Funny thing is, I don't have to lie like you. I just have to hold a mirror up to your faces so the world sees the truth. Enjoy. So this quickly leads to, I'm being threatened, right? You see this all the time where these journalists come along the way, and they go and they write some sort of piece of propaganda. They write some sort of hit piece, and then the creator responds. And then all of a sudden they become the victim, which...
Yeah. Well, the thing is that there have been a lot of people that have gone after Paul over the years because of his awful takes. I mean, I've talked about him in so many videos over just the past couple months because he was targeting Black Myth Wukong, never mind, even before that. And he's always looking for someone to go after. And right now, Paul is just trying to go after a big target, and he's going after Star Wars Theory because he knows that he's probably going to face backlash from Star Wars Theory's fans. And then, yes, he can easily cry victim because if he actually just did his job, which is writing about video games or entertainment, he wouldn't be in the middle of drama. And these journos love the attention. They have egos the size of the Eiffel freaking Tower. They will do anything for attention. So they try to go after the biggest people possible. And that's why we don't trust journalists, because they're just drama whores at the end of the day.
It's almost like it's projection. It's almost like when they call YouTubers or creators grifters.
Yep.
They're projecting.
They are 100%.
Amazing how that works out.
Yep.
So Star Wars Theory came back and it was just like, hey man, and how many death threats sent towards me from your slanderous articles should I take to the police? Grow up, Paul. While I don't condone that language, you know damn well no one has control over the actions of others. If you like, we can go to court over all the slander to my brand. I'd be happy to. Enjoy the next video.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't want people receiving death threats. I don't want people being harassed. I don't want people feeling like they are, in danger, right? Though the thing with Paul is that we have only seen, this one screenshot. And from what I understand, his information has been out there for quite a bit. Again, I do not condone looking for it or attacking him or going after him, but nobody can blame Star Wars Theory for what his fans do. He's got millions and millions of fans. He can't control the actions of every single one. And he has said multiple times, do not try to find people's personal information. Don't release it. Don't go after them. And that's really, at the end of the day, the best thing that he can do. And people like Paul also don't take responsibility for the articles that they release that may damage someone's reputation or that person may receive hate from either. So he's crying about the very thing that he also too does.
Right. And I think we're all on the same page. Like, harassment is not something like you should never dox somebody. You should never harass somebody. Like, dude, we're just like, people got beef. They got beef. They'll figure it out. Right. But it's not up to the creator's audience to go out and fight that war for them. Right.
Yeah.
Specifically, you shouldn't be going out and finding people's phone numbers or information and stuff like that. Right. And it's the reality is that there will be people who cross those lines. That's just the reality of it, especially when you have a sizable audience like Theory, that has literally the largest Star Wars YouTuber on YouTube. Well, there's got to be a reason for that. And this is in response, the lady, there's immense irony here as it, we haven't really talked about this on the channel a whole lot because I don't really know who this person is. But the Molly Damon person who was instrumental in launching the campaign against Geeks and Gamers and Nerdrotic and Ryan, trying to get them demonetized. She was over here in response. Oh, you too. You're getting, he says, less funny than people putting whiny / aggressive comments on my family photos on Instagram every time this happens. Meet you too, huh? And
why have photos of your family on Instagram if you don't want people to see them or comment on them?
There's there is a point where you are quickly reminded that you are a public figure.
Yeah.
Then and I'm very mindful of that with anything that I post online. But it was interesting to see how quick she chimed in. Oh, me too. I'm also a victim. And Theory responded to this again. It says harassment of family is not okay. Harassment of anyone is not okay. Like the harassment these people have sent way to everyone who doesn't like the shows they like. And let's take a step back. This all has to do with fucking Star Wars.
Right.
Like,
right.
What are we doing? This is fucking Star Wars here. Like you don't own it. It's not yours, right? It's a show that you watch, and people are so upset about this shit. And I understand that they're upset because they're passionate about it, right? It's the same reason why we're so upset at video games, right? I get it. Totally understand that. But like when you take a step back, like we're upset over video games, right? The thing that this video games are passion, they're a hobby for a lot of people, right? And we're upset about it. But at no point should you show up and be doxing and harassing people over it. It's insane. It's insane to see. But he continues just saying like harassment is never acceptable. But I guess if you guys, I guess for you guys, it's only okay when you send it to the community. And that's very much a thing, as a reoccurring theme here is the rules for me, but not for thee along the way.
Yeah.
Our buddy Valiant Renegade had this post over on X, says, "Hey, Paul, is this the community you cultivated? No. No? Good. I'm not aware you've done anything to deliberately cause this. I'm also not aware Star Wars Theory has done anything either. See how this works? What you learned today, bro." Now, what's he referencing to? This is him saying, Star Wars Theory saying, how many death threats he's got. And this person's like, hopefully tons more. You deserve them.
It's just, it's a disgusting mindset. And with all these people, Paul especially, they dish it, but they can't take it. Whoa, it's okay that they write articles and attack people, but it's not okay that a creator defends themselves or simply talks about, in this case, Paul. Like, he just takes everything too personally. And that's a major issue with all of these journo hacks, is they take everything so personally, and then they cross these lines where they go, oh, it's not okay when you dox me, but haha, I'm so happy that you're receiving death threats and these things are happening to you. It's just terrible.
Frank, who is the booker for the Chrissy Mayer podcast, also I believe her husband, really summed it up great. She'll talk shit about creator. She'll gets paid to talk shit. Creator responds and reads said shit talk. Creator gets paid for reading shit talk. Shill cries about it. Creator wins. Right.
Fatality.
Fatality. 1000%. As Scarvy says, Star Wars Theory is a threat to our democracy.
I mean,
Anyways,
Paul is just a classic hacktivist. He really is. He's terrible.
He's been around for so long. So long. It's amazing to see, and fallen upwards the entire time. He's just made his way through the video game industry, now all the way to Forbes, which is crazy.
Yeah, Forbes is, I don't know what Forbes is doing. They also have Eric Kane doing entertainment, which he's fantastic. And then you have Paul Tassi, who's just awful. I mean, they've argued online, two Forbes writers going at each other for the articles that they post on the same freaking site, sometimes back to back. Like, you would think that wouldn't be happening, but he loves to, cause problems even with his colleagues.
What? It's almost like they're causing controversy just to put an audience on themselves and for reputation there. That's good. Hey, I missed this and I feel bad for this, but Stardust Viking during our Dragon Age conversation came in with probably the most important Rumble rant of the day. $50 says simply, we need big booty representation.
We do. We really need the jiggly butt. We need to bring it back.
Well, that's not butts, but there you go. There's your 50 right there, Stardust. We got the triple today. We got all three levels of our of our support. Wow, that's great. Wow, we got the 50, 100, and the 150. That's spectacular. Thank you guys. That's great. All right, man. That's awesome. That's all the stories I got today, Vera.
Wow.
We're good.
We flew through them.
Yeah, man, we did. It was a quick and easy show today. We got a lot of support. So I'm going to give you, as always, an opportunity to bounce whenever we get to super chats. But let me do a quick glance to see if there's anything here.
No, I'm here. I'll stay.
Okay, cool. How nice is that? Let's get to this. Here we go. Strange Axel says, why do you want the rock? It just arcs over everything. Get the knife. Get the knife. Get the effing knife. Thanks, Strange Axel. Appreciate that. Jason says, P. Diddy and R. Kelly should be cellmates and focus on making some new collabs.
Ooh.
This is my pager is getting so warm. What's going on, guys? Take it off. Shell Beach says, if Pity dies on Suicide Watch, the question is, did he do it? Norm came in and says, I represent all normal men when I say YouTube ads are AS. What was it? Oh, ass.
Come on now.
Although there's a space in there.
It's
There's
just
a
a
space.
space. But yeah, or else the algorithm would block it.
I know. Sorry. Our ass, especially the ones that play in the middle of videos and streams. I press X to doubt for ads being less intrusive. I'm still getting used to this. People working through the algorithm thing.
Yeah.
Reddy says, chicken soup fun intensifies. Let's go. Alex came in and says, I pause often to talk to customers while listening to YouTube. Hopefully premium will prevent that. I think that's the reason why you have premium or ad blocker. Nathaniel says, it's going to focus on Jesus's time with his disciples after his resurrection. Okay. Well, maybe that's what will happen in Passion of the Christ 2. Mark says, how much cocaine went into the production of Passion of the Christ 2? Rebound says, YouTube is goading me to set up ad blocker at a router level.
Yeah.
John came in and says, it covers the resurrection of the 40 days after the ascension. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. David said, I like when game credits end, and special thanks to you. Yeah,
it's like with Astrobot, you had all the credits, and it was like we couldn't have done it without this team and without you. It's just the gratitude that we very rarely see these days, and it's always amazing when you finish a game or you even buy a game and they thank you for supporting. Like, that's so rare at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome. We may have one actually quick story here. This is kind of interesting. This just came in from J Reds. It says, not sure if you heard, Craig, but Colin Moriarty had an interview with someone that worked on Concord. Turns out the development cost was about $400 million for a game that lasted 2 weeks.
I have not seen it, but I would need some kind of proof to believe that big of a number.
$400 million. Holy shit.
I would need something besides he said, she said with that type of number. That's insanity.
Now, he has a clip over on X, which is really popping off. Do you have any interest in watching this right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. Let's check this out. $400 million. Holy shit. Okay, this is Colin Moriarty on the Sacred Symbols podcast. Great group of guys talking games at all times, specifically PlayStation games.
I cannot hear it.
Oh, you can't? Okay, bummer.
Nope.
Let's try this again. Let's try this one more time. Okay. I could hear it. I don't know about you. Okay. All right. Here is Sacred Symbols, the PlayStation podcast, and Colin Moriarty and his crew.
I want to talk about Concord. I wasn't going to ever talk about this game again because who really gives a shit? However, and I don't do journalism really anymore, as you guys know, and we talk about this a lot. I was a journalist at one time, and I used to break a lot of stories, and these days I don't really grind like that. So the stories that I break these days are usually not usually, always people coming to me. And someone who worked on Concord reached out to me, and I verified who this person was and went through all of that and talked to this person extensively, for a long time. Ooh. And got some, I think, interesting information that I can share about Concord. I think people will be interested about it. The reason that I wanted to talk about it is because some of the assumptions that I had made about the game were dead wrong as far as how much it cost and how much Sony really lost on it. So the big thing that you really need to know here about this is that Concord cost about $400 million to make.
Oh my God.
And the story goes that
I'm curious to see if that is including the acquisition of the company.
It's got to. There's no way that was just like development costs and marketing. There's no shot.
Wow, $400 million. Yeah.
That's so much. Now, my question would be is, I know he doesn't specify, but who he talked to. He just says he spoke extensively with someone. So it's definitely a bit harder to believe, but if you consider how much they bought Firewalk for, which we, again, still do not know, let's say that was $200 million, and then the full development was $200 million, and that's the $400 million, then that's much more believable. But my God, that's absolutely insane.
To put this in perspective, I just pulled up a list of most expensive films to produce. If $400 million is what it costs to produce Concord, there's only 3 films in the history of movies that have been produced that were made for over $400 million. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Those are the only 4 movies in history. So Concord would be in very rare air if this is true.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at other acquisitions that have happened over the years, and these are different years, but like Take-Two got Gearbox for $460 million, Embracer Group got Aspyr for $450 million, Pearl Abyss got CCP Games for $425 million, like Electronic Arts got Playfish for $400, Tencent got Riot for $400. So, I mean, that is in the top percentage when it comes to video game company acquisitions, and never mind the development costs of the game itself.
Let's see what else he has to say here.
Concord, by the time Concord was, so in the first quarter of 2023, Concord had basically entered an alpha state. This was before Sony had even purchased the team. But Sony had been working with Probably Monsters, which was the original owner of Firewalk and Firewalk, probably since late 2020, maybe 2021 at the latest on Concord. The game was in development before that. Up to the point that the game went into alpha state, they had already spent about $200 million on it.
Jesus.
And it's unclear how much of that money is from Probably Monsters and the original investors into the game, and how much of that money was from Sony. There's this term in product development, not only with games, but really with everything. You can like manufacture a tchotchke. You guys might have heard of it. It's called minimum viability, or a minimum viable product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's often in business is called an MVP. An MVP, a minimal viable products, the baseline for what you can produce. Yes.
Idea behind this, or MVP. The idea behind this is that this is like what you're trying to achieve, and it's like once you cross this barrier, you feel comfortable selling it. It's not that it's the best it can be, or that it's what it's going to be by the time you launch it, because there's all sorts of extra stuff you do to it. But like, this is the minimum viability of the product. When the game had already had $200 million spent on it and was basically in an alpha form in quarter 1 of 2023, from that point until the game launched, Sony spent another $200 million on it. The scuttlebutt behind the scenes about Concord.
So he's saying that does not include the purchase of the studio, because he's saying that's just $400 million on the development.
Yeah, and that does not include marketing.
That makes no sense. That's such a massive amount of money for the product that we got. It was terrible. There was nothing unique about it. It's not like they came up with these crazy map designs and there were 40 maps or something, or there were 40 heroes. That isn't the case. It was extremely standard for a hero shooter launch.
Man, if this is accurate, this is shocking, to say the least. And like, what do you spend that money on over the course of 18 months? If you're talking early 2023 to mid to late 2024.
Well, the thing is that Sony had made a deal with what are they called? Play Monsters, with the studio that owned them in 2021 for publishing. So Sony was intertwined with them going back to 2021. And before that, the game had already been in development for years. So, I mean, who knows when Sony started giving them money? If it was just at the acquisition, that would make no sense if they just gave them $400 million, 18 months before. But I mean, it's got to go back to 2021 and maybe even before that Sony was, giving them money. I mean, this just sounds insane.
I mean, there's still a lot to go in this video, but and based off the conversation, but the most shocking thing about this is the idea is, let's just say it did cost $400 million.
Yeah.
Then why are you only giving the game 2 weeks to succeed?
Right. You need to give a larger time frame at that point.
Man, the chat is, you guys are throwing out the money laundering.
I mean, that's what it looks like.
Geez Louise. Let's see what else.
Is that the game was in a laughable shape when it was shown, and ready, basically like when the alpha was ready to go and they were kind of being like, we're ready to kind of get moving towards getting this thing out in the next year or two. it was in such horrible shape that Sony felt like they needed to spend that much money again. So, 200 plus 200 to get the game to the MVP status, not to the status of it being like a great game.
Then why buy the company?
Yeah.
Like if it's in a laughable state,
right,
that you need to invest another $200 million into it, why buy the company?
Yeah, it's not like you're buying a Bethesda here. You're buying a studio that this is their first game.
Wow. What a mess.
Get it to just viability. And that at that time in Q1 2023, there was nothing done. Like a major expense was having to urgently outsource much of the game to other studios to finish building the game out. And that two fundamental things were not worked on at all up to the point in which the game was shown in alpha. Onboarding, nothing about that. No, like there was nothing about how players get on, like how they make their character, all that kind of stuff, or, choose their character and get there. And monetization. Two very expensive, very specific and boutique things that happen to games like this. And so that's the first thing that I wanted to say, is that it's not only about the ongoing cost, which would be in the millions to keep the game going per month, but that the game cost about $400 million to make, soup to nuts. Sony put most of that money in, and it is not only so, because we had kind of said like this must be Sony's biggest loss ever on a game, and it is. It's the biggest game Sony's ever released from a budgetary standpoint from the first party or second party. So let that sink in.
It's crazy.
And it's totally unintuitive. There are games that are in development right now at Sony first and second party that are more expensive than this. But as of the games that have come out so far, so think about like Spider-Man 2 and so on and so forth. We know The Last of Us Part 2 cost $220 million. Spider-Man 3 is going to cost about $350 million. This game cost more than that. And they lost all of it because they made no money. They made about $1 million gross revenue, and then they gave it all back. So this is a huge, multiple hundreds of millions of dollar loss. Now the question is, why? Why did this happen?
All right, and this is why. Okay, hopefully it gets into why do they only give it 2 weeks?
Right,
along the way. Right. This is there will be documentaries done about Concord.
100%. Sony must have just seen a studio that was making a game that they thought was going to be big, that was in need of cash. So they said, we're going to give you a lot of money. And don't worry, guys, we're going to put a lot of money into the game. But I mean, if these numbers are true, that's absolutely insane. I mean, look at something like ZeniMax, right? They probably sold because they, were running out of money, but they had franchises. Concord was not a franchise. This was Firewalk's first game. So it's not like they were bringing like name brand recognition to the table. I could understand Sony buying them and putting a lot of money into a company in a situation like that. But with Firewalk, it's just so bizarre. It's like it's their first and now clearly their last game. It's not like they had deserved that money. I guess Sony was just really thinking Concord was going to fly off the shelves and it was going to be the next major esports game. But I mean, the esports scene is not in a healthy state. So why, again, they would think that is beyond me. It just shows the massive disconnect with these executives and players.
I am, golly, like you give me when I hear 400 million, like that amount of money isn't even comprehensible, right? The idea of $400 million being invested into something like this. And for me, my mindset is I would much rather take, let's say we're going to spend $400 million on it. Well, the initial thing was $200 million. Why spend that $200 million to begin with, right? Why not take that $200 million that you were going to spend, make 20 games with a $10 million budget, right? That of all varieties, all shapes and sizes. You can have your representation game. You can have your shoot 'em up game. You can have all sorts of games. $10 million in game development will take you very, very, very far. In this case, it took you nowhere. But it's such a crazy way to think.
I think it just boils down to them seeing you know, a DEI shooter in the making and them thinking, wow, this is what audiences want, this is what gamers want, and well, clearly nobody wanted it. It's hilarious to see games fail on such a massive scale like this, because we always say, oh, if you're going to make a modern audience game, where's the modern audience? They could show up and they could buy it. There could have been 100,000 people playing Concord, and this DEI shooter could have done really, really well, but it didn't. So why do you continue to make this mistake? I mean, games are very expensive, and they need to be more careful with what they're spending their cash on. They're so worried about pushing the message. They're not worried about what is going to please audiences and what people really want to buy. They are listening to the wrong people and the minority of individuals that want content like this.
This is amazing. Shield of Dragon says, imagine what Craig could do with $400 million. You know what I'd do? Live on a beach.
Right?
I would own a beach. I would make it to where nobody can come for miles and miles away. Let's finish this up here.
This game was heavily championed behind the scenes. Now we know this because Sony ended up, what's funny is that the game is presented in Q1 2023 as this, we're kind of getting towards the end. The game is nowhere near being done. It's in a horrible position. And then Sony buys the team. The idea behind this was, and the term apparently verbatim had been used, that Concord is the future of PlayStation.
Oh.
That they had such major ambition for this game that it was referred to internally as a Star Wars-like project for Sony.
Holy shit.
It can be repeatedly revisited over and over and over again, not only in cross-media, but in what we were seeing. We've already kind of seen little bits of it. So the weekly story vignettes that they were going to release, and then, of course, the inclusion in Amazon's Secret Levels anthology, that's like just scratching the surface of it.
That's the most damning thing that I could potentially hear, because that to me said, like, they have no pulse. No pulse of the gaming audience. If they thought this was going to be the next Star Wars.
Yeah. Yikes. Oh God, they're just so disconnected from reality. It's fucking insane.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's finish this, because this gets like, I thought like 2 minutes in, we're like, this is bad.
Yeah.
And then, like, a
it's
minute later,
just
like,
getting worse.
It's man, holy shit.
Ironically, the game was codenamed Chaos behind the scenes. And a major thing about the game is that there was, and I think we can kind of get this vibe from just the nature of the people making it and kind of the way the game reads and all that, a toxic positivity vibe. You weren't allowed to say anything, apparently internally, about this game.
What did I just say? What did I, like, fucking an hour ago? We were talking about nobody could say no. Nobody could say no. Oh my God. Vera, do you have anything on this, or do you want to keep consuming this right now?
It's bad. This is it's just progressively getting worse.
Oh my God. Yes. You can't say no to the point of $500 million being spent on a shithole game. Holy crap. Toxic positivity.
Yep.
About how, like, something's wrong with it, character designs are not right, and so on and so forth. They really truly believe this was Herman Hulst's baby, apparently. And he internally was himself a massive champion of the game. So it's not that. So the reason I'm telling you all of this, it's some interesting information, of course, but it's that I had said, when people were like, Concord lost $200 million. Now, people were pulling that money out because that's basically how much, like, some of the first party games like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, etc., kind of cost in that frame. And I was like, there's no way that it costs that much. I was saying, like, it cost 9 figures, probably, like low $100 million, but there's no way it cost $200 million. No, it cost $400 million. So, and I am totally solid on this source, by the way. So that's why I'm willing to share it with you. Because again, I'm not really a journalist. So yeah, the big things to take away: $400 million loss. The game was in horrible shape as of 18 months ago before release. Not even monetization, no onboarding, most content not even there. The game was in such bad shape at that point that they spent the budget of it again in urgent outsourcing to get the game finished from all of these different angles over an 18-month period. Internally, the game was considered part of the future of PlayStation with heavy cross-media references and a system of toxic positivity surrounding it that didn't allow anyone to meaningfully change the course of the game. Because if the people at the top truly believe in something, you're not going to be able to do much about that, I don't think, from the trenches. So I thought people would be interested in that, and just wanted to throw that out there that, yeah, Sony really saw this as a Star Wars-like project for them, like the potential to, and now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Not only why they spent so much money on it, but why they bought the team. So there are people there, and to me, it's unclear who exactly the people are. I know some of the names. I don't want to get too deep into that because a lot of the things I learned were off the record, but obviously this is on background. And it's like, yeah, now it makes a little more sense. You spent, and by the way, the $400 million not included in how much it cost to buy the team.
There it is right there. There it is. Just confirming it right there.
My gosh.
Wow. This is, I mean, listen, people talk about ET. Let's just finish this up real quick, and I'll have some closing thoughts on this.
So Concord is Sony's biggest released game by budget to date, and it is the biggest loss that they've ever had as a company on a project before.
Okay. For me, this says everything, right? This is, without a doubt, unequivocally, the biggest, not just video game disaster, but this may be the biggest entertainment product that's ever, like, disaster period. Outside of Sony, I can't think of anything bigger off the top of my head.
Rings of Power.
The $1 billion, yeah.
The $1 billion. That was for the rights. That was for season 1, and some of the stuff that went over to season 2, like sets that were being reused, set pieces and costumes. I mean, this is a Rings of Power sized disaster that it rivals it.
But Rings of Power got a second season.
It did get a second season.
This barely got a second week.
Well, true.
This is, I mean, if this is accurate, and Colin's a pretty stand-up dude when it comes to his knowledge. He doesn't like just to throw shit out. I mean, he's a way better reporter than Paul. If this is true, this is the most fascinating story in my literally 20 years of doing video games.
What do we have to do to get a documentary on this? We got to get sources.
Yes.
My gosh.
As pointed out, it says, Craig, would you crowdfund for a Concord documentary? Man, that would be spectacular. Holy shit. Unbelievable.
I mean, this is the biggest failure in video games by far, because you have to consider that it was rumored $200 million on the studio itself. So that's $600 million. It's insanity.
And the poor guy, look, that's saying the poor guy stepped away. He stepped away from his job, stepped down, right? Like stepped down from his position as a director or whatever it was at the game studio. We talked about that earlier. Dude, like just leave. Just leave everything. Like, you made your money, you're good. Get the hell out of here and go buy some land and go do nothing for the next 30 years. You know, go raise a family. Hopefully you do that better than you make video games.
It sounds, at least to me, that a lot of this blame, judging by what they said, falls on Herman Hulst, who's the head of PlayStation Studios, because he apparently considered it to be his baby, and he really was the one who had a lot of faith in Firewalk. He's the one who, of course, initiated the acquisition, so it seems like this is going to fall on him. I mean, he's the major reason why we're talking about a $600 million disaster.
Does he step down?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how long he's been at Sony. That would be my question.
Man.
It's been a couple years at least. I think, okay, so it's been roughly about 17 months since he took the reins of PlayStation Studios, but he was a big part of PlayStation Studios before that. So he was probably the one who initiated the sale because that was, 18 months ago. And then it kind of was passed off to him. And then this was, I'm assuming, supposed to be like his studio defining game, that this is what was going to be the future. And well, it looks like it may be what kills him in the end.
Okay, well, look, and this is what's interesting about this. In June 2024, Hulst and fellow executive were promoted to joint CEOs, right? So he's fallen upwards.
He has fallen upwards. It is true, but it's a co-CEO. So maybe one gets the boot. Yep, one gets the boot, and then he's out.
Wow. That is absolutely unbelievable. Unreal. Man, all right. Zoltan came back with a massive 250 monies. Says,
that's about $80, I believe.
Let's go. Thank you. That's spectacular. Says these executives are still stuck with money-making microtransaction shooter games. And true what Vera said, DEI makes them think that's a huge bonus. Time moves on, and people have definitely moved on. Yet they still keep doing the same crap. Zoltan, thank you so much for going on the wall again, my friend. Look at that. That is great stuff, Zoltan. That's your second one. Get you on the wall here in a little bit. Hayden, my boy, came in with a $20 super chat. Says it goes all the way back to the top of Probably Monsters, the company called Firewalk Studios with the same toxic positivity. He created Probably Monsters with the same mentality. Same language appears in their other studios too. Man, there's a lot of irony here because Colin was once a part of Kind of Funny. Do you know Colin Moriarty's background?
Yes, okay. I do. Yes.
And when people think of toxic positivity, oftentimes Kind of Funny is seen as the center of the toxic positivity in the video game space. We're like, everything's great. Look at how awesome this is, right?
Yeah.
And to see Colin kind of calling this out a little bit, just interesting, Yeah. I don't think it's a shot at them or anything, but it's just kind of interesting to see. So James came in, says, Vera, I sent you a blind message on Tuesday on X asking for permission to link to your content. If you get a chance, Craig, I'll likely send you one too. It's about a site I'm building about Gamergate 2.
I'll check it out.
Thanks, James. Appreciate that. And yeah, man, that's spectacular. Sora came in and says, hello, just wanted to send a super chat to say hello, and to Vera Dark as well. Thank you, Sora. Tolls came back as a member for 9 months. That's a Side Scroller's baby right there. Congratulations. Cultural Breakdown says, we're seeing activists in these industries failing because the audience is leaving. Some will pick up on this and change. Others will go under. Thank you, Cultural Breakdown. Mr. Melancholy says, I hope Japan wakes up and stays away from ESG. I truly can't stand how these parasites are trying to destroy the East.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. There are so many amazing Japanese games and developers out there, but they have definitely followed the ESG dollars, and I want them to turn around as well, but at least we have Korean games for now, which unfortunately Korean games do also face a monetization problem, but that happens with any group of developers. So we'll have to see what happens.
Silver says, bet the extra 200 million is for DEI consultancy. I doubt it's that much, but good Lord. Demanji, I ruined your name again. Says, by the way, I know it's a couple of days old, but the dude that tried to call Vera ugly on X was smoking all that crack. She's an entire smoke show. Well, thank you, appreciate that. It's not for me, but for Vera right there.
Well, thank you.
What was up with that guy?
I don't know. It is what it is.
people being mean on the internet.
Yeah. It's just another day online.
Right. River Miles came in and says 1 million per pound of the average Concord character, 1 million per pronoun in the Alphabet Mafia's alphabet. Thank you, River. Appreciate that. Says, imagine this if this happened to Hello Games. Thanks, Scarfy. Accident Seller says, what if PS5 Pro's flagship was to be Concord? Right. Maybe. That's actually, you wonder if there was a mock-up of the PS5 Pro with Concord.
Probably.
Miku says incompetence or the cult mentality did the game in. Scarpy says, guess Norway didn't fund this one. Sultan says, I'd support this documentary 100% because it will explain so much other stories from different companies too. Thanks, Sultan. Appreciate that. Huge sports today. Arinji says $600 million tax write-off. Could you imagine that? The idea of like, oh, well, $600 million.
Well, it's like, how much was Batwoman or excuse me, Batgirl? I don't remember how much of a tax write-off that was, but that was pretty big too.
Unreal. That like the money that's thrown around these situations. Jason says the Titanic only cost $200 million inflation adjusted. That's crazy. Thanks, Jason. And Benjamin says, how do I DM you on Twitter? Do I need blue? No, I don't have my DMs open, but just send it to me on Twitter. Just like post it and I'll see it. Most of the time I do. Vast majority of the time. I'll look for it. Right there.
And by the way, Batgirl was, I see chat, Batgirl was 80 to 90 million. So that's still such a big amount of money.
John came in and says, meanwhile, Sony's biggest game this year is Astrobot. Kind of ironic, isn't it?
It is. It's a great game. It was really, really fun.
Astrobot. If you can make a game that competes with Mario, I am on board with that. You know, it's pretty spectacular. All right, I'll tell you what. We're up at 2 hours right now, Vera. I got some Rumble rants to read. I'll give you an opportunity to bounce. I know your time is tight, so I always wanted to give you as we cross these thresholds. So if you want to bounce now is a great time.
No, I'm good.
Okay, great, awesome. Let's go. She's rolling with us.
Love
it. Love it. Thank you, Vera. Appreciate that. Jared says, what's up, everybody? Vera, what are your thoughts on Black Myth Wukong not being on Xbox, and will it come to the platform later down the line? Get well, Blabs.
Hopefully it comes to Xbox. I know that they had to delay it due to technical issues. There were rumors floating around that it's because of like some hidden exclusivity deal. I think it'll eventually release, but Black Myth Wukong is fantastic. I haven't finished it yet. I've been bouncing between so many games like Star Wars Outlaws and Space Marine 2, but I will be back streaming it soon and finishing it up, but it's really, really good.
St. D says, sad to say I'll be buying Dragon Age since I'm a fan. If it's bad, at least I'll be feeling better with Ease 10. Thank you, Saint. Lord of the Ree says, more like Dragon Age Veilguard. Am I right? Craig,
yep.
Craig, will you ever have your cousin on or a guest my brother? Yeah, my brother who does music. His music is great, and he's an inspiration to me. Hi, Vera. Your hair looks lovely today. God bless America.
Thank you.
A lot in there, Lord of the Ree. Yeah, my brother's been on the show, I think, once before. Maybe I'm on again in the future. Lieutenant Siver says, and this is why I use pipe and gray jar. Thank you. B. Barrett says, Passion 2, he's back, and this time he's mad. No more turns the other cheek. Lord of the Ree says, in Passion of the Christ 2, Jesus will be black, and he and Judas will be gay, and Paul will be trans, and the shroud will be a rainbow flag, and Mary Magdalene will be a lesbian. Clown World, honk honk. Mongoose came in and says, people with their gender dysphoria are uncomfortable in their bodies because they have the desire to be the opposite sex. These weirdos feel comfortable being trans because they have a desire to be special. Lord of the Ree says, he didn't become a woman. Okay, I'm not going to read that one. Thank you very much. History Daddy says, the most hilarious part of all this is shapeshifters exist in Dragon Age. That's actually really funny. Thanks, History Daddy. Jose Contreras says, did Blabs not get the Matt Walsh memo on sick days? No, he did. She did not. And Saint G says, GTA 6 could have a $400 million budget and make it back in 1 year. Oh, yeah. I think listen, GTA 6 will make $1 billion its first weekend.
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's going to make billions and billions.
Yeah, 1,000%. Xander says, Blab's got an infection wearing the rainbow wig. No. She's fine. She's just getting over it. And over on Rumble, Spoon Ninja, thank you very much. Says there's good games, there's bad games, but there are no AAA games. Thank you. It says, thank you for those. Right there, he sent a meme right there. Thank you very much for those, Spoon Ninja. I wish I could read some of those, but I can't. Hey, a quick reminder, we got a watch along with the Golden Era documentary next Wednesday. This coming Wednesday, coming up on the 25th. I'm going to be doing a watch along at 2:00 over on Side Scrollers Podcast. If you guys don't know, if you haven't seen it, the Golden Era documentary is a spectacular documentary about the development of GoldenEye 007. We're talking about this documentary of Concord, man, it would be great to do it'd be great to have this documentary of Golden 07, which we do over on Side Scrollers Podcast right now, exclusive to supporters over there. So head on over there, become a member for free, and become a supporter. An annual supporter would be great. You can get $27 off by simply using the promo code GOLDEN when you check out. So once again, the supporter watch along next Wednesday, and then the promo code to get $27 off over there, your annual membership. Would greatly appreciate it. It's a great way to support. If you came in with support today, head on over there, become a member. We genuinely appreciate month-to-month support. All right, we are done, Vera. We did it. We wrapped everything up.
Awesome.
Hey, way to go. You killed it today. Thank you so much for holding it down while Blabs was feeling sick.
Of course. Hopefully she feels better in the next couple days.
I hope so, because I don't know if I can do this much longer without her. So. She's the rock who holds us up. All right, guys, listen, we need you guys to have a great weekend. Mighty Megatron just came in with 5 over on Rumble. Thank you very much for that. Says, hey, Craigs, I bet these rainbow/liberal freaks won't touch anything Muslim or Muhammad. Wonder why. Okay. Thank you, Mighty Megatron. I cannot confirm or deny that thought process. But hey, everyone go check out Vera over on her channel. The link to her channel is down below in the description. You're approaching 120, right?
Yes, I'm at almost 119.
Let's go. Killing it. She's killing it. Love it. Way to go, Vera. Super proud of you. You got anything going on this weekend? You said you're playing a lot of games?
Yeah, this weekend, guys, I'll be streaming more Space Marine 2. Then after that, next week, I'll be streaming Zelda. The week after is the Starfield DLC, which I'm definitely not excited for, to be honest, but I will be playing all those. I'm very excited for Zelda next week, though. So yeah, I'll be streaming, Saturday, Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern for 5-6 hours. Who knows?
Jeez Louise. All right, everyone go over there and subscribe to her channel so you can watch her play some games, give her support like you gave us support today. Appreciate you, Vera, as always.
Of course.
All right, you guys have a great weekend. Go outside, touch some grass, get off the internet, and come back and see us on Monday when we're back at it again, 11 a.m. Central Time. Once again, next week will be our last week before we take a week break, just a quick fall break to kind of refresh it so we can power on through up until the rest of the year because we got a lot going on. With that said, have a great rest of your weekend. And remember, people are going to try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys got a goal. Go get it. Have a great weekend, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.